Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Out Loud with Karyn. Once a month, you will get to hear from local changemakers out loud. I am here only as a resident of our great village, and there's no talk today of any official business, only the wonderful work of today's guest. I want to say a special thanks to our producer, Alex. You're doing a great job already, and to community newspapers for allowing me to host the program. On today's Out Loud with Karyn, we are chatting with a very special friend, my boss, Karla Hernandez Matz. Karla is president of United Teachers of Dade, and welcome, Madam President. I'm so honored to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. It's going to be so much fun. This is like, we're just chatting it up, but
That's right.
talking about really important
That's right.
issues that our community can benefit
Fun
from.
with a purpose.
Absolutely.
So this show's about change makers,
Okay.
which I just said. And when I was thinking about guests, I thought I'm getting like the full package with you, because not only are you an amazing change maker here in Miami-Dade County and all across the state of Florida, but you also lead the third largest union in the nation, the biggest union in the state of Florida, and you are representing 27,000 change makers right here in Miami-Dade County, our teachers and clericals and security and paraprofessionals. And I think that's pretty cool. So very honored to have you here today.
Thank you so much. When I think about the stats, I'm like a little blown away by them myself, but I appreciate you, and I think you're a change maker, so I think it's fabulous that we're able to have this conversation and talk about all these important issues.
It is very cool. So I know you have a really unique background. You are first generation here in the United States, and maybe tell us a little bit about your childhood and growing up and a product of Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
I think, first of all, yes, my family's from Honduras. Both of my parents were born and raised there, and they came and they met in the United States. So I am the first generation, born in Mount Sinai Hospital in Miami Beach, but raised in Hialeah, a little town that a lot of people know about now.
They do. Well, I saw Grant. We saw Grant when we walked in.
That's right. He was wearing an I Love Hialeah shirt. That's right. And it's a cool American story. I mean, we grew up in a little apartment building, and I had a rooster in the apartment building, because who doesn't have a rooster and a chicken in Hialeah or Miami? I mean, that's kind of typical. But my dad, when he came to this country, he was an accountant by trade in Honduras. And when he came here, just like, many people that have to make ends meet, started to work with whatever he could or however he could. And so he became a farm worker, and he was cutting sugarcane and picking tomatoes in the Everglades. And it was really hard labor. There was no union. He got robbed of his wages multiple times. And so he became a carpenter, and he got into the trade unions. He taught me about the importance of being in the labor movement. And actually, I remember at a very young age, before I even knew how to read, if he saw somebody that was rallying or a demonstration for workers' rights, he would stop the car and tell us to get out and just stand on the sidewalk in solidarity with whatever the group was. Even if it wasn't the carpenters union, even if it was, the police, the fire, the electrical workers, it didn't matter. And so that shaped who I am and who I ended up being, because he taught me very much about helping working people, making sure that you treat people with dignity and respect. And he said to me, don't ever let anybody treat you like a second-class citizen, because you are American and you were born in this country. And
he's really proud of that.
He is very proud of that. And, we've done a lot to try to, make sure that people understand the importance of unions. So I'm so happy that we're going to talk about labor today.
Yeah, so we had a staff meeting. I don't know, can I tell the secrets of a staff
meeting?
Sure. But one of the things you said at a recent staff meeting, which really, really touched me and inspired me, we were talking about the labor movement and the work that the staff at United Teachers of Dade is doing, especially during these very challenging times. And one of the comments you made reminded me of something that my mom said, which was, you said, this is our jobs, right? This is the work that we do every day, and it's important because we have to make money to take care of our families. But the folks at United Teachers of Dade, and I know all of our members, it's more than just a job to
That's
them.
right.
It's about a passion,
Yep.
just like the people that we support at our school sites and work sites all across Miami-Dade County, because they're not making the big bucks, right?
That's right.
but they're there because their heart is in it and there's passion. And I really see that in you every day. I find it extremely inspiring.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I think
important.
it's important that we find what brings us joy and that we work towards what brings us joy and that we have a life with purpose and meaning. And we tell people this all the time. You know, the work that we do is to make sure that we have the best educators sitting, standing, working with kids every single day. And it's important because I do believe that public education is a cornerstone of democracy. So I come to work every single day saying we're making a difference, we're having an impact, and I hope that everybody feels that way also with the work that they do.
Well, I know I'm having fun doing it, so it's enjoyable. So talk a little bit about the work that we do at United Teachers of Dade. Right here, if we could start, just focus on Miami-Dade County, right?
Sure.
So much work we're doing. Tell me a little bit about
So,
that.
so let me do a little historical perspective
Okay.
first. So I think it's so important that, you know, when we talk to our community, and this is our community newspapers, right? To let people know how embedded and how important the work that we do is in our community. So UTD has been in existence for over 50 years. And before we were called United Teachers of Dade, we were actually called the Classroom Teachers Association.
Right.
And in those times, there was still segregation. So there was a Black Teachers Union and a White Teachers Union. And the White Teachers Union had slightly better wages than the Black Teachers Union. And we were the first union in the South to desegregate. So we are now United Teachers of Dade 1974 because in 1974 we merged both locals, the Black Teachers Union and the White Teachers Union, to form United Teachers of Dade. And, you know, we've been working really hard ever since, making sure that teachers have the right resources, that they have working conditions that optimize their ability to really have an impact on students, because we know that a teacher's working condition is a student's learning environment.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, we care about justice, we care about benefits and rights for our workers, because we want our teachers to be dignified in their work. And not just teachers, because we represent so many people, and I think
Sure.
people don't know that, right? We represent clerical workers, paraprofessionals, security folks on our campuses. And it's about making sure that we have all the things that we need to protect, to help, to elevate, and just to really empower our students to go out there and, you know, just captivate the world and do what they want to do in terms of a career and how they give back.
So I queued up a few photos. Alex, can you put up the photos for us? And maybe you can walk us through some of these
Sure.
photos. This is the fun we're having every
I
single
love it.
day
I
at
love
United
it.
Teachers of Dade.
So this is us giving a shout out to our Miami Heat. We're so proud of them. They did so well this year, but also showing solidarity wearing red. And this is in front of our building, and it's got a great quote, "But still like air, I'll rise" by Maya Angelou.
That's
We
right.
love that. Our members, Miss Peters, she just retired.
retired, yeah.
Retired, I think almost 40 years at Air Base, I think. I think Air Base was her school. So, I mean, just phenomenal workers, people that have been giving so much to our community. Oh, you know, Mayor Regalado.
There's not a weekend that I don't turn on the television in the morning and see you out there sharing information with the community. And I know this was one of them.
This was one of them. He's had me on his show a couple of times. You know, he's very pro-labor, wanting to make sure that people understand the importance of unions.
Sure.
And the difference between what the Latin American community thinks a union is to what actually exists in the United States.
Absolutely.
This one, I got to tell you about this. This is Mr. McKay. Mr. McKay was my middle school teacher, okay, in the 90s at Miami Springs Middle School. He retired. I went to his retirement party like, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago. And then he came back because he's so passionate about art and he was my favorite teacher. I mean, he made me feel so good in that class where I can be creative and just free and just really welcoming. And we have teachers like that all over Miami-Dade County Public Schools.
This is a real credit to his passion, just like we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
To come back after 7 years of retirement.
That's
pretty
right.
Big deal.
That's right. And this is a multiple things, but that's our picnic, and that's on the bottom right-hand corner is us with the Teacher of the Year for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. You know, just a phenomenal elementary teacher, And we want to make sure that we highlight all the good, because there's so much negativity. We're hearing so many things on the news and book bans and censoring teachers. And I think that this year has been really tough on the spirit of the educator.
Sure.
And we're trying to make sure that we're also out and about in the community, really uplifting them and showing them that we're supporting each other and that we're going to keep on making a difference, and that we're not going to let politics come into our classrooms, because we're going to do what we need to do.
That's right. I think we've got a couple more.
With some of our pastors that are allies in the community. That was at a rally. I do rallies a lot.
Not a single weekend goes by that I don't know you're at a rally.
We'll talk about another couple more rallies. This is with our mayor, Daniela Levincava, who's such a supporter of all the things that we do. She wanted to be a teacher at one point. I don't know if you've heard that story.
About her. No.
She wanted to be a teacher because she wanted to become a principal, really was her ultimate goal. And then when she realized how hard teaching was, she says, I'll do something else. But she does have a great story about, wanting to be a teacher. And that's American Federation Vice President and Secretary Treasurer from AFT, Frederick Ingram, used to be our president and also a Miami-Dade County Teacher of the Year.
That's right. I think he was a student when Alberto Carvalho was at
Alberto Carvalho was his science teacher.
Was it Central or Jackson?
Jackson. He was his science teacher, and then he became a band teacher, Teacher of the Year, and now he's doing amazing things in Washington, D.C.
Great change makers in that photo.
Oh, we know this guy.
And I had to throw this one in just
we like
for fun.
This guy. So much fun, and I want to thank the Millers. I mean, they're amazing. They're always, helping small businesses, giving them shout outs. And they care about what happens in the community and how we uplift each other. And that's my guy right there. He's always supporting United Teachers of Dade.
That's great. That's great. So talk to us a little bit about legislative session, because I know, we had a couple of good things happen for teachers, and your former art teacher they passed the drop bill.
So he could extend.
Yeah, there's a nationwide teacher shortage.
Yeah.
So they've extended the drop. I didn't get in under that wire, and I'm okay with it. But teachers can extend their time now past 5 years. We have a 5-year drop plan. There's some housing things that come. It's a mixed bag. It might be great for workforce, for teachers from a municipal point of view. We have a different version of how that's going to impact. So a couple good things happen, but then there were some things that are impacting United Teachers of Dade and those 27,000 professionals that are in the field. So talk to us a little bit about legislative session and the impact of all of that.
So if I had to summarize the legislative session in one word, I would say it was brutal. It was really hard for us this year. There was a lot of politicizing public education. And, there were a few good things, like there was a drop extension. We know why it exists, right? It's because there's 5,000 vacancies statewide. That's how bad the teacher shortage is here in the state of Florida. We know that
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what do you attribute that to, the teacher shortage? I'm sure you have some ideas from your perspective. What do you attribute that to?
I think that there's been there's been a concerted effort for the last decade to privatize public education. We've seen that there's less funding for our public schools. So in essence, they're defunding our schools, really creating a lot more criteria and politicizing it like we've seen this year. And I think all those things have really impacted the morale and the spirit of teachers. And a lot of people have just said, with the pandemic, we learned other skill sets. We can do things differently, or we can work in different industries. And they've decided that, it's just not, it's so hard on them in terms of what is being required and what's expected with the, political punches, if I had to describe it in some way, that people are just like, I'd rather do something else. And that's unfortunate, because the ones that are being impacted are our students.
And do you see the impact? I know you were talking a little bit about some of the things that happened during legislative session, but as it relates to the extension of drop, how do you see that impacting locally here in Miami-Dade County?
Well, it's the drop is meant to help us retain teachers so that they don't retire right away, but stay in the system a little bit longer. We did see retirements anyways, so we saw that people decided that regardless they weren't going to take advantage of it. But I don't think it's going to fix it, but it is like putting some kind of Band-Aid on the situation. We know that they have, first of all, I think this is a self-inflicted wound. I think that we are having a critical shortage of educators just because of all, the political, the bills, the political attacks that have been, moved through session for the last couple of years. We saw that last year they tried to make it a lucrative thing for veterans, saying, hey, any veteran and a spouse, even if they don't have a teaching degree, they can come in and they can become educators. And they were not interested. They were like, I think they felt that they were more effective being on the front lines, somewhere else than, being in a classroom.
Sure. There's a significant amount of training that is involved in actually being able to stand in front of students.
Absolutely.
I just saying, because I know.
From teacher to teacher.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So I think that those things have obviously exacerbated, the conditions of what's happening right now. And, unfortunately, a lot of our just, veteran teachers that are so passionate about this career have decided that, they want to do something else or just, retire. So I think that until we really start addressing certain things, like addressing the teacher shortage and how we fund education, addressing the cost of living, addressing the, insurance, the housing, the homeowners insurance, we know that that's a huge situation that's pricing people out.
Absolutely.
These are real things. And when you have an educator's salary, it makes it very difficult to be able to stay in the community that you're teaching in.
Sure, absolutely. We see that all across Miami-Dade County, probably all across the nation.
Yep.
Although there are some states that have significantly higher pay than the state of Florida. So
we are 48th in the nation in terms of teacher pay.
How did I know you were going to have the exact number?
That's what I do. 48.
Yeah, that's sad.
That's very sad.
And I did print this out yesterday. Sorry to kill a tree, but there was so many. I started looking through it, reading through it, just so many things that happened during legislative session that will impact teachers, that will impact those that represent the unions, that will impact the schools, right? And, another connect is, and you pointed it out, that public schools are really the cornerstone of democracy.
Yeah.
We see that in communities like the beautiful village that I'm from, right? A lot of people move to that area because they want their
amazing
students
schools.
in those amazing schools. So there's going to be impact too. Do you see what the impact will be at the, really where the rubber meets the road, which is in the classroom, other than obviously the teacher shortage? What else do you see as it relates to our students?
It worries us in a big way because we know that we're getting over the pandemic, right? We turned the corner, and we know that by itself, also extended or expanded, this educational gap.
Right.
Students, as well as the entire world was trying to do, we know that it created setbacks. And so, we want to make sure that our kids are not just growing academically, but that they also feel secure in themselves, that they're happy, because really happiness is going to go such a long way. We want them to be socially, emotionally sound. And so we know that these things are already things that are hindering our student population. And, if we don't have teachers in front of them, or we have uncertified teachers, it's not going to create the high quality education that we know we can provide for our kids. And we believe that every kid, no matter their race, their nationality, their zip code, their gender, that every child deserves access to a high quality public education. That's what we're about, and that's what we want to offer.
Sure, and that's the great thing about public schools is the doors are open to everybody.
Yeah, and what's the extent of this is that it's also extended to a higher education. We've seen some of the bills and the attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I just don't recall a time where these three words, diversity, equity, and inclusion, were ever considered bad words. And now all of a sudden it's almost like taboo. Don't talk about these things. And they've done so much to create access for students and access for professors, to create a more diverse student population, as well as the faculty. And so, we're seeing that, education in general, when you censor teachers, it was, a very big national story when, African-American AP studies was removed from our curriculum. people are still upset about it, and rightly so, because African American history is our history and we should know it. And if students want to take it and have it as an AP course, we should be able to provide that for our students. We've seen book bannings and what that's done. We've been, unfortunately, national news as well because of book bannings. And we're educators. We believe in reading. We believe in the power of literature. And we don't believe that any literary work should be removed from students, especially when we know that Amanda Gorman's poem, a youth poet laureate, did that so that children and young people could see themselves in her. A very appropriate book. And so, unfortunately, so much controversy, so much politicization of, you know, what it is that we have in our classrooms is really creating.
It brought out for a very long, extended conversation at the last school board member,
It did.
and a lot of speakers that came out to speak to it. I had the opportunity to hear you as well as some of the other speakers. So we are this summer, and I know this is as an employee of United
Right.
Teachers of Dade, there was a piece of legislation that will impact the teachers union specifically. Or education unions.
Yeah.
And we are feet on the ground trying to turn some of that right now. Can you talk a little bit about the conversion efforts? And we've got some things for
Slides.
folks to look at.
Yeah, so one of the bills that was really devastating to public education this session was Senate Bill 256. And basically, it is an attack on working people and our freedoms as workers. And it creates two things. Number one, we are a work with no right state that has in the Constitution collective bargaining. Right. So we have access to unions. Good tidbit, in fact, UTD is perk number one. We were the first union.
I learned that for the first time.
Yeah, we're the first
day.
union to, to make themselves, I guess, to apply and to be a registered official union with the state. We're the first union to ever do that. So, we have a long and rich history about unionism and what it is that we do for our community. But what this anti-union, anti-worker bill does is that it makes arbitrary decisions. It says that although we work in a work with no right states, we're now forced to have 60% membership. So a lot of people that had been, taking advantage of the benefits and the things that we offer no longer have that option. They have to become members if they want to save their contract, if they want to have rights, if they want to have us negotiating their RAS. By the way, I'm super proud of that.
Yeah.
No,
it's a big deal. We played a big role in that.
We did. We have spent over $1 million on two different campaigns. One that was just last election cycle and 4 years before that. But we brought something new to the community. We were tired of seeing so many teachers, so many great teachers leaving our community because our state has underfunded public education for such a long time. And so we had a referendum. It was overwhelmingly supported. Over 70% of our community.
I think that's so exciting because
really
it's
is.
real. If you want real data, that is data, because that's money out of taxpayers' pockets,
Absolutely.
right? And they said, hey, this is super important. We support our community schools. We support our public schools.
Yes.
We want good public schools. We understand teachers are underpaid. So it's a big show of support from the general
And everybody
public.
knows a teacher. Either your neighbor's a teacher,
right.
you go to church with a teacher, one of your family members is a teacher. So I think that a lot of people can relate to just,
Sure.
How difficult it is. So many resources that we buy for our students. So we did that, and that was a big thing. And so now we've seen this attack on public sector unions, except police, fire, and correctional officers. So it's not just for teachers, it's also impacting nurses. It's, other trade unionists that are public sector. And so it's very concerning. It's something that is concerns so many people because we know that without a contract, there's so many rights that you lose, so many benefits, your working conditions, your ability to do certain things on the job to help secure and ensure that you're doing the best job possible. And so, we see it as an attack to middle class workers, to working people. And we have to mobilize. So that's what we got to do. We have to get over that 60% threshold. And everybody that is a public sector union knows that they also have to convert in how they pay their membership.
So let's talk a little bit about the conversion. And Alex, can you put up, do the website first, if you would? Because I want to talk about how the current 15,000 members can get converted over. Folks may not know, hey, come September, I still want to be a union member, but I'm not going to have the ability to pay my dues through my paycheck because they've been paying for dues for
Over
or
50 years.
right, exactly.
So one of the things that this bill does, so our school districts have always done dues deductions for those people that have elected to be union members. And so basically what this legislation says is that as adults, we can't make decisions about how we're going to use our paycheck. And they are restricting us on how, as adults in the free state of Florida, how we're going to freely be told that we can't use our paycheck dollars. So they've removed this ability from districts and from any public employer. And so one of the methods that we're using is using EdFed. They're the local credit union. They've been great partners.
They have been great partners.
They've been working with Miami-Dade County Public Schools and helping educators for many years as well. So if you go to their website, you can figure out how to make that conversion so that EdFed can help transfer your membership and that you still have a membership when school starts. That's one form.
Yeah, and then Alex, can you queue up so they can go to our website too,
Yes.
which is super easy. It's 3 letters.
Yes, utd.org.
And then can you queue up? Everyone should have gotten an email as well. Right?
Yes.
Can
So
queue up the email
you
for folks to
received,
take a
if
look
you
at?
are a UTD member, you received an email from Mr. Antonio White. He's our first vice president. And it is a great email because it has everything in there. It explains why we need to do the conversion. It gives you the links for EdFed, but it also gives you links for an e-dues platform that the Florida Education Association is utilizing because every district across the state is going through the same
Same
plight.
issue,
Yeah, the
right.
same plight that we're going through. And so you can do e-dues platform. It's kind of like using a Venmo, like you're paying your Netflix, that kind of situation. So it's very easy, very user-friendly. Or you can do EdFed. And so everything, all the information is on that one email from Antonio White. And I think the subject line is like urgent UTD membership or
I think
something like
that's
that.
right. Yeah, I don't have it. It's on the browser here, but I think it says urgent UTD membership. And the link in the email for eDues, because they'll give you both options.
That's right.
It's either EdFed. It's super simple. 2 options.
Yeah, you pick one of the
EdFed,
two. Or
you need to
eDues.
open an account.
Yeah.
Super easy to do. Second one is eDues. Click on that specific link. The link is just for you.
Yeah, the e-dues one, that is personalized. So it is to make sure that, the whole process is very secure. And so each person got an individual personalized link. So don't
I'm not
share
going
that
to
one.
ask you how you did yours because I know you're a UTD member.
I am. That's
I'm a
right.
retired member.
I am. I actually did mine through EdFed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's super simple.
Super
right?
simple.
Awesome. So lots going on this summer. If folks want to get a little bit more information, how can they do that? I know you're super accessible. It's one of the things that our members always say. We can always reach out to the president, but I know you don't want to walk each one of the 15,000 members, but I'm sure you would if you had to.
If we have to, we will.
Yes.
That's right.
So I sit near IT, so I hear all of the conversations. So there's 2 ways to do it. If they're confused when they're doing it, how can they reach out?
So you can call the office, which is 305-854-0220.
We had a little ticker
So
on there. Yeah, there it is.
305-854-0220. You can call the office and we'll walk you through it. You can always check that email. It's step by step. It even has videos on it in case you want to watch the video on how to do either one of the 2 options. And we're also going to be calling members.
Okay.
So you'll get a call from UTD that will have somebody on the line and we'll walk you through the process if you haven't done so. So the sooner you do it, the sooner we'll stop calling.
Well, I think that's awesome. I know we're going to be out at the schools all the way
Yes.
through. If folks have questions, they can reach out to any member at United Teachers of Dade. We take your calls at all hours. They can call and leave a message. We'll call them back or check their emails, which is probably the most convenient way to do it. They'll also be getting some text messages, I think, from us as well. So lots of outreach, which is always good.
Because it's extremely important.
It is very
We have
important.
to make sure that we save the union, that we have the ability to fight for workers' rights, fight for public education, fight for our students' well-being. And so, we know that we are a cornerstone of this great democracy as well. So we're going to fight for our kids because that's what we do. We fight for our kids.
It's awesome. Karla, I can't thank you enough. I hope you get some downtime at some point this summer. I see a lot of pictures of you, but not on vacation. So.
Not on vacation. There's a good rally happening on Sunday in Fort Lauderdale.
Tell us a
It's
little bit about it.
We the People March.
Okay.
I think we tweeted it out there. We're not an organizer, but obviously we're supporting it. We know that there's a lot of just actions happening all across the state. The National Education Association is holding their annual representative assembly in Orlando. I'm speaking on a panel. I'm going to be at a demonstration in Orlando as well this weekend. But a lot of public policy on education is going to be discussed. It's extremely important, and
that's a great way to network.
And they're focusing on
Yeah.
Florida because they're seeing so many things that are disrupting what quality education should be, and we want to fix it. We want to get it right, not wrong.
Well, thank you for keeping quality education in Miami-Dade County. Thank you for being an amazing change maker. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody, I hope next month, with another local change maker. Thank you, Karla.
Awesome.